Hi there, I'm Dean Heskin, President and CEO of Swiss America Trading. Thank you for tuning in to our most recent podcast episode of The Secret War on Cash, where we discuss the changing and ongoing changes in, our ongoing economic climate and environment, our financial markets, and some of the things that have been developing over the course of the last several months as we now venture into 2024 that are potentially and more than likely going to reshape things here in America financially and economically speaking. I have with me my co-host, Chris Agelastos. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning. How are you?
Doing very well. Thank you. Thanks for being with us today. And today, Chris, we're actually going to be talking about a very sad topic in the world of finance, which is U.S. consumers and their debt. Now, it's no secret that in this country the debt levels are increasing significantly each day. Some of it due to careless spending and some of it due to necessity, meaning people are needing to use their credit cards just to live, just to survive, to buy groceries, their everyday things. And the reason I think it's important that we cover this, as depressing as it kind of is, so that we let it serve as kind of a reminder to us all how important it is that we are doing whatever we can to protect our wealth and manage our finances. Now, this article that we have on your screen or listed in your description there in the podcast, it lists several factors associated with this debt out there as it relates to why people have it, what their plan might be to get rid of it, or like who and what is responsible for them even having it in the first place. Regardless of the reasoning or rationale, the reality is that consumer debt, really all debt, it's a big problem right now. So, Chris, what impact do you see this having in the markets in this new year that we're heading into?
Well, I mean, unfortunately, it's definitely going to have a negative impact, right? I mean, if you look at just some of the numbers they mention in here, 60% of American households increased their credit card debt this year versus last. That's 6 out of 10 people. 80% of those people had to use their credit cards to help them get through the holidays, this last month or so. So, what does that mean? Why are people doing that? Even though interest rates are up, right? They're paying even more interest on those credit cards to be able to get through the holidays. Well, they're doing it because they have to. People don't have cash for a bunch of reasons right now. Obviously, what's going on in the economy and the labor markets and whatnot, inflation. But all of those reasons, tightening up people's pocketbooks a bit. And we're in a consumer-based economy, right? Our stock market relies quite heavily on all of us Americans spending our money. So if we don't have money and we resort to the credit cards, that gives us a little bit of time. But at some point, you can't continue to rob Peter to pay Paul. And so, certainly I think people are going to be cutting back on non-essentials. The most important things are going to get taken care of. And other things are going to start to fall and people are going to cut back. That's obviously, going to have an effect on the economy. It just can't not.
Sure. Well, and we talked about this quite a bit, as we were getting into the fourth quarter of 2023. And, concern is the fact that not only is this still a problem, but it looks like, a problem that, it may be here for a bit. In fact, in related news and also negative news, we're seeing a large and growing number of Americans out there that are losing their homes, actually. Thank the good Lord, this is not something that I personally have ever had to experience, but I can only imagine it has to be devastating. I mean, it's your home, a place to live as a family or meet with friends, a place that you might expect to feel a certain sense of warmth and security as you enter into it. It's being lost or taken due to whatever economic problem these families might be dealing with. I'm sure as some people see articles like this, it's just another story until it's something that hits them personally. And the problem, along with others we've been discussing in this podcast, as well as other podcasts, it's not something that I've seen being addressed by anyone in terms of helping these families or people in these situations to try and get out of this problem. I mean, do you see this as something that is going to pick up speed or gain momentum as the year continues? In other words, is this going to get worse before it gets better, in your opinion?
Yeah, I think so. And you have to look at a lot of the reasons behind it. I think this is the tip of the iceberg. And one of the stats that they talk about in here, which, I who follow this, even found it a bit alarming. Foreclosures are up 136% since 2021. So in the last couple of years, up 136%. That's already big. But now add to that many are predicting a market correction in the residential real estate market, at least in some major markets. And what does that mean? It means that some of the housing prices fall. And what that causes is negative equity. So all of a sudden someone owes more on their house than what it is worth. Couple with that, higher interest rates, which we've been seeing over the last year or so, higher unemployment, so people are struggling. In fact, one of our recent podcasts, we talked about how, companies, a high percentage of companies were not going to be bringing people on board. And a big chunk of those companies were also going to be laying people off, right? So we were telling people, if you like what you do, stay put, because it's not a great market out there, for job hunting. So add those variables together, and then the adjustable rate mortgages that are going to start kicking into play here as they start stepping up with the current interest rates. That's going to cause payments to go up. So again, all of those ingredients, even what we talked about was a week or so ago about AI, coming for a lot of white collar jobs. So any one of these things, or maybe two of them, it'll have an effect, but how big will it be?
Sure.
But if I was baking a cake, right, and mixing all of these ingredients that we just went over into it, nobody's going to want to eat it, right? Nobody thinking rationally. So I think it is going to increase, and people need to do what they can to protect themselves now and prepare for the future. I had a client ask me yesterday, when is everything going to fall apart? And I explained to him, there are a lot of people that will give you dates and predictions, and rarely do I ever see any of them be correct. But what I do know is that you need to prepare now, whether it happens in 2 days, 2 weeks, or 2 years. You need to make sure that you have your finances in order and be prepared to weather that storm when it comes. You'll be glad you did.
Sure. And well, and funny, the client who's asking, when are things going to fall apart? That I think that question becomes somewhat relative to each individual situation. Some of the situations we've highlighted in various podcasts, those worlds have already begun to fall apart, unfortunately. And that number is growing. And you bring up a good point too, with the adjustable rate mortgages, with the foreclosures being on the rise as much as they have. The middle class is struggling right now to make ends meet, hence why credit cards are being used for groceries, et cetera. And when those adjustable mortgages come due, and now they're at a higher rate, we're talking about a demographic that can ill afford to be paying more than they already are. They can't, unfortunately, in a lot of cases, they can't even afford to be paying what they are right now. So thank you for that, Chris. And unfortunately, again, not a rosy topic, but a good reminder topic that just exactly how important it is to be prepared, to do what you can to get your finances in order. Part of doing that, contact our office if you haven't already at 1-800-289-2646, the number you'll see listed. You can get a free copy of our report, The Secret War on Cash, that just discussed a lot of the workings that are some evident, some not, in our economy, what's happening in our financial system with our banks. Call and get a copy if you'd like to learn more about gold, silver, maybe how to put some monies in from your retirement account into this arena. Another good thing you can do is contact us, and we'll get you information on that as well. Visit us online at SwissAmerica.com if you would like to just do that, and you can sign up for these same reports or information as well. So again, thank you, Chris. And for those of you tuning in, thank you for doing so. We look forward to bringing more information like this to you in the future. If you're not already on the various social media platforms following us, please do that. And if you haven't subscribed to this podcast, we'd love you to do that, as well as we plan on bringing you a lot more exciting and interesting news and information here over the course of 2024. So thanks again, Chris. We will look forward to having you on again soon. And hopefully we can find some better topics for the future that have a little bit more of a rosy outlook. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.